Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt here with Daniel Mangena and Alex King with her unicorn headphones. Today is Thursday, April the 16th, 2020. It's 4 p.m. New York time. Wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And we're smiling and happy to be doing another show for you here on this Thursday. And guys, I did something a little bit unusual today. Alex, I don't want you to go into a dead faint when I tell you this, but I actually spent more than 2 minutes on Facebook.
Shock and awe. Shock and awe.
What I did is when I was checking in to see, had anybody left messages or something like that for my usual 2 minutes, I saw that someone was sharing a live stream of an Abraham-Hicks modern session going on during the pandemic, and they were addressing pandemic questions and pandemic situations. I said, oh, cool. So I decided to watch that for a while, and it was good. I mean, it was great to see Esther doing her thing and so forth. And I picked up a number of topics out of it. And one topic really stuck with me, and I wanted to make it kind of a topic for today. Okay. Because she made it a point to really emphasize it at one point while she's answering one of the questions, to really emphasize the difference between focusing on problems and focusing on solutions. Because typically we tend to focus on problems, which is, by the way, where we get into trouble a lot of the time, because we're spending all our time focusing on problems. And then we wonder, well, why is it that I'm not getting what I want? And it's because we're not focusing on the solution at all. The solution, that's really what we want. And so we just tend to kind of skip that part. It really, I don't know why it resonated with me, especially today, but for some reason it did. So I figured, okay, there's a topic for today right there.
Okay, cool.
I guess my first question is, I'll ask you first, Alex. Do you find yourself focusing more on problems than solutions at times?
Yes, especially right now, because the problem is everyone has a background but me. I'm very upset. And I'm going to have to sit with Walt and figure out why, so I can have a solution.
You can do it. I just did it right now. I don't even have the green thing.
Well, no, but the thing is I'm on my phone using Zoom.
I'm on my phone.
What? Where are these options? Hold, please.
Go into the little more bit.
Okay, hold on. More.
And it's got virtual background.
Hide my video. No, I don't have that.
On the more?
Yeah, under more. And disconnect audio, raise hand, hide my video in gallery view, hide non-video participants, show name when participants join. That's all I have.
Oh, sorry. I'm on an iPhone.
You know what? You iPhone people can go somewhere. Whatever. I'll just
apparently.
I learned a long time ago, Dan, you never ever talk about the fruit with her. She just doesn't handle it well. It's just
don't talk about who?
Fruit phones.
Apple.
Oh, the fruit phone.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's her way of expressing. She won't even call it an iPhone.
Nope. It's a fruit phone.
It's against her religion.
Okay. Well, on that note, I'll allow you to return back to discussing Walt's question and how you're answering it.
Now, what was your? Repeat your question, please, sir.
I know it's very distracting what we went through. That's true. No, the question is a pretty simple one. Do we find ourselves focusing more on problems than on solutions?
I think as a society, yes, we do. Do I personally? I try not to. I sit there and go, okay, how are we going to figure this one out?
Except when you're dealing with a computer issue, but other than that.
Oh yeah, then that's tomorrow Alex's problem. I don't have. If I can avoid it, then yeah, bye. So it's either find a solution or avoid it altogether. That's how I work.
Okay. What about you, Dan? Do you find yourself ever focusing too much on problems?
Not normally, but then due to the course of deep work I'm doing at the moment, I'm seeing small pockets of my life where I was hiding things that were problems that I was focusing on, and clever ways that I was masking that I was hiding. I was focusing on problems and feigning focusing on the solution.
Now, that's great. I mean, to be able to find that to me is like the ultimate in being a conscious creator, because you actually were able to identify something saying, oh my goodness, I've been masking that and I didn't even know it.
It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. It really is. But I have to let that go. But I thought it was positive. Go.
I've been doing it wrong my whole life.
No. Why me? That's pretty fun.
Yeah.
It's a good way to look at it too, is just to laugh at it like that and not take it too seriously.
That's one of the things that, I don't know if either of you saw the post that I did on Facebook. Have you ever looked at what you've created and just had to laugh?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I just had one of those realizations yesterday. It's like, oh yeah, based on what I know and what I teach, that was me and not somebody else. I guess I have to eat that one.
Yeah.
That's what I call one of those
oh no
moments.
With humble pie.
It's no because I said to myself, okay, I created this thing. Why did I create this thing? I don't know why I created this thing. I can't seem to get away with anything anymore. Why can't I get away with anything anymore?
And that part, that's been a big part of like my growth over this last, I'd say, 5-6 weeks I've really been going into this. It's just accepting that, well, dude, you signed up for this. You signed up to be you signed up to lead the way on this, to be in the vanguard. So suck it up.
Suck it up, buttercup.
Suck it up, bro. This is, nobody forced you. Nobody forced you to do. You made the conscious choice to take this path. Mm-hmm. So now you have to be in integrity and you have to live it. So
there it is. Which is, by the way, that was also part of what Abraham-Hicks's message was when they were explaining the whole thing about focusing on problems versus focusing on solutions. Mm-hmm. I don't remember exactly how she phrased it, but it was something along the lines of, are you taking the time to enjoy watching the thing that you're looking for as you're coming into alignment? Mm-hmm. And so often our reaction in that situation is, it isn't here fast enough, or I don't like this process, or why do I have to go through this? Or I did this morning. Why am I having to do it now? Or, all this litany of reasons why I don't actually want to enjoy the unfolding.
Yeah. Or this is not what I asked for, but it was.
I love their messages. Well, whenever you share the messages that Abraham brings, it's like, oh, it's such a positive. Because in my head, I went to a message from not one of my teachers, one of my friends follows. And he goes, are you enjoying what you're witnessing and pretending you're not creating?
Mm-hmm.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
What you're witnessing and pretending you're not creating. I was just like, Abraham's like, well, why don't we just look to the bright side? And you see it coming. It's like, oh yeah, it's a much friendlier sentence.
I like Abraham. He is shady. The shade is real with that one. Let me tell you. Because he'll be like, no, let me tell you what's really going on and why you're wrong. like that. Just keep it all the way honest. That's what it is.
but it does it with a rainbow hat on.
Definitely, no, it does it in a definite right way, but it's still hilarious though. It's snarky. I love it.
I'm just sitting here kind of, getting the idea that a woman named Esther Hicks is voicing this collective entity that you're identifying as being a male voice. It's like, okay.
His name is Abraham, correct? No.
But Abraham is a collective entity of non-physicals that are basically genderless.
I don't have time for all that.
There could have been a neutiral name. There could have been.
Fine. Okay. How about this? This non-binary energy. Okay, we're gonna go with that. because you're making it complicated.
I love it.
I need a cup of tea and a biscuit after that one.
Oh my goodness, that's funny.
Oh, I saw a joke, by the way, Walt, that you might like. British people program biscuits into their websites instead.
Cookies, I get
it. Where's my rim shot when I need it?
Oh my God, you should have that ready at all times.
I really should.
You never know.
I know where to bring the cheese. I know when to bring the cheese.
Okay, that's good.
The same.
Well, actually, did you guys see the email I sent out yesterday?
I hadn't had a chance.
I've seen it, but I haven't read it yet.
Oh, I'll tell you what it was about. I sent it to all the co-hosts because I thought all you guys would appreciate it. This is something that somebody posted in a Neville Goddard group. Mm-hmm. They were basically having a very bad day. They had to go out and get some groceries. And in the midst of the trip, she realized, well, this is not really a good mind space to be in. I need to get myself into a better mind space. especially if I want to have things that I want coming into my life. So
Mhm.
she decided to start doing an affirmation to herself. I can have whatever I want. She kept repeating that. I can have whatever I want. I can have whatever I want. I can have whatever I want. And she got to the store, went in, got the cart, filled it with the groceries, went up to the checkout. And as she's checking out, she turns to the guy who's doing the bagging and says, "Could you please put all the pasta jars in a double bag?" And he says, "Sure, whatever you want."
I like it.
I mean, what a great manifestation story,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Now that's one that we could easily overlook,
Yeah.
Well, that's not what I meant.
Yeah.
I was actually part of a similar story. A friend of mine, she was doing a practice from this guy we know, his book of writing every day 5 things you're grateful for, 5 things that you want to create. So 5 gratitude points and 5 intentions every day, and small things, not all massive things, just little things. So you're just in the habit of creating. And I don't know why, but I had to ask her a question, and I worded it. Something called me to word it. Hey, I've got a surprise for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then that morning, she put as one of her intentions a surprise just for me.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
And I was asking her a question, but I worded it in my text. Hey, I've got a surprise for you.
Yeah, that's weird. But still, yeah.
And do you know why you did that? I mean, were you aware of it at the time when you were doing that, or did it just kind of come out?
No, that's just what came. That's just what came.
Just came through.
And I do my best when I get those tugs to just follow them, because you really never know where it's going.
True.
An Abraham story that I remember is when she was moving the furniture around, and then it turned out to be like leading into some guy coming or something like that.
Yes.
When you get the call to move the furniture around, just move the furniture around.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I move the furniture around.
Moving the furniture around is a good thing, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Anything that changes the pattern is a good thing.
Because
you're shaking up your perception, you're shaking up how you're feeling about stuff just by taking some action there.
Yeah.
Sometimes
it's the type of change that you can control.
Yes.
That's what I like. And I don't like when things change around me. I like to do it myself.
So you don't like the unknown?
I do not at all. I'm like, no, I need to know. But I like surprises, though.
You like surprises?
I like surprises.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
But you don't like to be surprised.
I see smoke coming out of the headphones.
Low key, I'm psychic, so like you can't actually surprise me. So someone will throw me a surprise party, and I'll be like, something's happening today. Something imperative. I must get dressed.
Okay, well that sounds pretty high key rather than low key. I don't think that's a low key situation. I think
it's low key because like I don't really delve into it or like attempt to do it. What
would happen if you did?
Amazing things probably, but I don't feel like going there.
Why not? Out of interest. No pressure.
Yeah, no interest, none.
No interest.
I feel like I would get into the medium side of it, and that's something I just don't want to explore.
You don't have to.
Shut up,
I'll give you
Daniel.
an example.
Okay.
I can read energy, but I don't talk to dead people.
Okay.
But I can speak to people's spirit guides, but I can't speak to their dead grandma.
Oh.
They were very different. I mean,
can they be one and the same though?
You can. So the woman that taught me showed me that everybody has a level of intuitive power. Okay. Some have a better focus. It's just like all of us can lift weights, but we're not all going to be Mr. Olympic. And even when we go to Mr. Olympic, people have different exercises that they might be better at doing at the Olympics.
Right.
Everyone can do Olympic lifts. Yeah. But can everyone do it? Some people are going to be better at certain ones.
Right.
So like, I don't have the strength for talking to dead people. I could probably learn how to do it, but I don't have a natural capacity for it. However, if you said to me, hey, let's dive in and see what my spirit guides look like and what they've got to say, give me 5 minutes and I can give you some messages.
Okay.
Makes sense?
And my guess is that if you wanted to, you probably could. You just, on some level, you really don't want to.
It's not my natural gift. Yeah. It's not like a natural strength for me. And I like that I've got ones that I can just get into it.
Sure.
Yeah. like I could read your energy now, tell you where if you had any energy blocks and any of your chakras without really needing to get into it. Like I wouldn't have to like get into state and wash 3 times under the rainbow water. I could just do it.
Rainbow water. I'm dead.
All I'm saying is, I'm inviting you not to close yourself off from accessing your gifts on account of not wanting this particular one of them. And at the end of the day, if there are strengths that you have that you don't want to play with, you don't have to.
Okay.
You can go to the gym. You're not forced to use every machine. You may just want to look at Jason Momoa on the cross train.
Facts. Definitely do. Hashtag.
Yeah. That's a pretty good point too, because what it really does is give ourselves permission to grow, to expand our skills, to reach out and try something new, with the belief that, okay, I may not like this other aspect, but I don't have to go there. I can go to this part over here that I like.
Yeah.
I can actually enjoy the process of kind of breaking through my boundaries, so to speak. What a concept, actually enjoying it. Next thing you know, we're going to be actually enjoying watching our manifestations unfold.
No, get out of here.
Mr. Walt, do you have any natural latent gifts that you've kind of witnessed or have popped up for you from time to time?
Good question.
Nothing that I've really developed. You've talked about kind of developing them. You've gotten to the point where you just kind of fall into it and you don't have to get into state or anything. You just kind of go with it. I've never developed anything to that extent, but I've experienced at times. I've experienced, being able to receive something or being able to connect in some way. I just don't have a constant repetition of it where I just keep going to it over and over again. So I could probably develop any of it. I just haven't really bothered to.
Any of them interest you, being able to develop? Any particular extrasensory gifts that you'd be interested in playing with?
None that I can point to specifically. I know in general, I've wanted for quite some time to be able to have, and I have to be kind of specific about this, to have the equivalent of English language conversations with people on the non-physical side, rather than getting fleeting images and thoughts and so forth and trying to piece it together.
So you want to be able to talk to the other side in your language?
Yeah, in a sense. Yeah. In a way that I can actually converse and understand and feel comfortable in.
So you might be clairvoyant to see, but you want to be clairaudient to hear back.
I actually don't. I mean, to be specific to the words you used, I am actually not clairvoyant. I am more clairaudient. But what I'm looking for is, instead of 1 or 2 word answers, I'm looking for complete sentences and paragraphs.
Then why not continue the conversation?
It's a good question. I guess the reason I don't is because I only get 1 word sentences.
but that's, I mean, for going back into it, if there's a stranger on the street, you say hello and they say hello back, then it's assumed that that's the end of the conversation. Versus, hey, by the way, and having a conversation, maybe after a while it will develop into a conversation.
And this is where the concept of enjoying the trip, enjoying the manifestation unfolding process is, I think, a valid topic for me, because that what you just described is something that I have in the past and up to the present found that I have very little tolerance for. I don't have the patience to wait for when's that next answer going to come, and paying attention to where is it going to be and so forth. It's like, oh, I was so done with that yesterday. I don't want to pay any more attention to this.
Throw it in a river. I'm over it.
In that way, I am very much a 21st century person who wants the instant gratification. I haven't developed it to the point where I'm willing to wait to find out what's the next comment in the conversation.
He wants instant
you can't
texting.
tell me the next 5 minutes, I'm done.
I feel you. But I think, I think that does cross over. And there's a reason why I kind of allow this one to keep wobbling from my mouth, at least, because it does tie back to what you're saying. Because even the manifestation of our gifts and manifestation of our abilities, in some instances, we're not ready to wait for the law of gestation to kick in.
True.
And for it to be made manifest. But very few of us went to school and in kindergarten, day one, we got our master's or bachelor's degree. We went through the steps.
Right.
And I think it's interesting that we as humans, when we're looking at manifestation as an art or a science, we lose a connection to the way that we see the world moving naturally anyway. We make this disconnect. Instant gratification, instant manifestation. Well, in nature, that doesn't happen. Seeds get sprouts and the sprouts grow and things happen in cycles and in movements. And I think sometimes for my part, as I've been looking into myself and what I've seen in people I've worked with over the years, is that's often just a way for the mind to keep us in the same place by having us looking for something that's impossible and then not seeing the beauty of what's there and not being able to celebrate more of what we're manifesting because we miss it, because we've looked for the next thing and ignored what was being created in the background.
It's funny that you should mention this, because when I was watching that Abraham-Hicks watch party, at one point they brought up an example that they've brought up in past sessions. It's the example of, let's imagine that there is a train coming from the east at 80 miles an hour, and you want the train to go west at 80 miles an hour. So if you try to manifest an instant turnaround so that it stopped going east and going west right away, well, first of all the inhabitants of the train are going to have a really, really miserable experience. And second of all, that's probably not a place where I'm at yet where I can do that kind of a major turnaround. It would probably just violate who I am to try to do something like that. So I'm much better served to simply wait for the train to slow down that was going 80 miles an hour toward the east until it stops, and then get it going, slowly building up the momentum toward the west, instead of trying to do it all in one, one smack, one quick go. And that does take the patience. That does take being willing to enjoy the journey instead of wanting that instant manifestation. But it's a great example of how sometimes you just have to, like you say, Daniel, we just have to kind of let it unfold the way it needs to unfold.
I mean, I always go back in my mind to people who make quote and reference to some of the ancient masters, whether real or imagined, and their ability to manifest instantly. Because I have seen with my own eyes people that are able to create instant manifestations out of nothing, but they didn't wake up with that.
Right.
They were in the mountains for the most part, using sex transmutation by being a virgin and celibacy, only eating the fruit of rainbow flowers on the new moon, and other than that, fasting and communing with spirit angels and guides and doing these weird mudras. But like every single person that I know of, even who's even got to a certain level of that sort of gift, has put the work in. So when people are like, yeah, I don't have to do anything, I'm just gonna meditate on that new job.
Yeah.
It's gonna manifest because I listen to Abraham every morning, Rampage Daily. And so I don't need to do that coaching program that's going to teach me how to use my mind and how to do anything, because guess what? Man will manifest, darling, don't you know? Crystal, all day, every day. And I had this real, and I think I put this story in my book. I had someone who was doing one of my programs and finished the main core of the program, had some amazing breakthroughs. We agreed to do some follow-up just to sort of settle it in. And then they said, you know what? Yogananda didn't have to do this. Yogananda didn't need money. Yogananda just went everywhere and God provided everything. So I'm just going to trust that God's going to do it for me.
Wow.
Yeah, Yogananda did some work in the mountains. Did some work in the mountains. So, anyway.
Yeah, at some point, in some way. Yeah. Because when we come here, I mean, this is a big point that Abraham was making today. We come here to experience that contrast for a lot of different reasons. We all have a bunch of different reasons, but one of those reasons is to grow, to get better at it.
Right.
So why skip it? Why not actually enjoy it? In fact, that they have what they call their 5-step process, right? The fifth step being appreciation of that contrast. Step one is to go through the 5 steps. I wrote them down just so I could have a reference. The first step, actually the first 3 are typical to what most 3-step processes are. So the first step is the request process, which is where we focus on the contrast, we see what we don't want, and then out of that we determine what it is that we do want. So that's step 1. Step 2 is basically where we turn it over to the universe. The universe has the next step to work on. And what happens in step 2 is source energy, the universe, however you want to describe it, becomes a vibrational match to that solution. This is where the problem and solution thing comes into it, focuses on the solution. And that becomes the thing, the vibration that we want to match up to in order to make it come into our experience, which is what our task is in step 3. Step 3 is the allowing task. That's where our task is to get into alignment with our inner being, who is already in alignment with that thing that we're trying to attract, so that the alignment's perfect and it's ready to just come right in and all the resistance is gone, or at least it's on the way out. Step 4, and step 3 through 5 are actually kind of variations on a theme, really, because step 4 is what I wrote down as the accepting portion. The first step 3 was the allowing. Step 4 is accepting. So basically taking that allowing portion and accepting, yep, this is the way it's happening. This is the way it's going to happen. It's okay. Everything's fine. Everything's playing out great. And the 5th step is the appreciation stage, and it's the appreciation of step 1. It's the appreciation of the contrast of this situation where I had this thing that I didn't want, and it told me what I did want. You know, so that's their 5-step process. That 5th step, that appreciation phase, is appreciation of the process, among other things.
Right.
It's appreciation of that whole 5-step process and saying, you know what, I'm okay with that process. It may not be playing out the way I originally intended, but that was my step 3 and 4 thing, was to get myself into alignment with, I'm okay with it playing out the way it plays out. Yeah. Even if it wasn't what I had in mind originally, even if it's not the way I would have done it if I was waving my magic wand, I'm still okay with it. Even if it's producing some results along the way that I'm not crazy about, I'm still okay with it. And to my mind, step 5 is the cool part, but step 3 and 4 are actually the hard ones. Because step 3 and 4, those are the ones where we're actually letting go.
Right.
Of all our preconceptions, of all of our things about, it really has to play out this way or I'm going to be so upset.
I'm a big mad bear.
What do you mean you're doing it your way? I want you to do it my way.
I know better than you, infinite intelligence, because I have a crystal.
I have a crystal. And my crystal says.
Yeah, it's the whole Veruca Salt situation.
Veruca Salt? Oh, yeah,
Veruca,
yeah. I get you.
Yeah.
I think contrast is one of those, every expression of or communication that I found to be verified by some way of infinite intelligence always speaks to the existence of contrast, and nature speaks to it too.
So true.
For me, regardless of whether or not an interdimensional being of infinite intelligence communicated the existence of contrast, nature speaks to the existence of contrast. Regardless of anything else, hot and cold.
Okay.
Day and night. Everything's in balance. Nature's in imperfect balance. We have life and death. And the second that it almost going to the allowance is the second that acceptance. The second that we let go of those preconceived notions, ideas about how us in our limited intellect say it should happen, if we look to the perfection of nature that's been existing for a lot longer than we have, then we may see that maybe contrast isn't a bad thing or even a good thing. It's just a thing and part of it. It's part of the game.
True.
And it is a big thing. Letting go, wanting it to play out differently from the way it's playing out is a big deal, because we get kind of invested in that. And the more invested we get, the less that the stuff shows up that we want. It's a real kick in the head.
And for me, in my own experience, in my own life, my own journey to creation, and also in my work, it's so often that comes up as the self-sabotage portion.
Yeah.
The egoic interference. The egoic interference. That's what I've witnessed anyway.
For me, it's pretty easy. I think I automatically let things go. So I'm just like, whatever, everything works out for me. So I'm just going to keep it moving. And that's just how it is.
Simple approach. Yeah.
It's like, oh, you sit there and you're like, all right, this could be a problem. And I'm like, yeah, no, everything always works out for me. It's fine.
Yeah. My world is taking care of me. Everything is going according to plan. Things are working out beautifully and will continue to do so with these.
Yeah, but simpler than that. I'm not gonna remember that whole thing right there. I'm just it'll be fine.
Yeah. That's the advantage principle from reality transurfing, which is literally just that.
Okay.
Everything's going to work exactly for the best if I claim it. So I'm going to claim it now. This is me claiming it. Yeah. Whatever timeline I was on, I'm now on the timeline where it's working out for my best. So
right.
Do your worst.
Yeah. Well said. I like that. Anyway, when I brought up the topic of problems and solutions, I was also thinking about how that has played out in my own life, and I'll talk about the ways that it has not played out. Because I have quite a long history of being very, very good at focusing on problems. And I get so good at them that other people bring problems for me to solve too. And then when I help solve their problems, they bring me more.
Well, yeah.
And then I get more problems coming. And I can actually get myself to the point where I'm so inundated with problems, I'm ready to have a nervous breakdown. That's how much I can focus on problems.
Well, at least you know you're good at focusing.
Yes, yeah. And you can create stuff even if it is a problem.
Yeah.
No kidding. And in large numbers.
Yeah.
Abundance, baby.
I mean, the abundance is definitely there. It pisses me off to no end, but boy, oh boy, is it abundant.
If you could just refocus on, other things other than problems, you'd be golden.
And
there's the gateway. But that is the gateway. And
yeah.
On the reframe point, that is the gateway. All I create is problems, but you're creating them.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's your gateway. There's the doorway to the new timeline. You are
just micro shift to money.
That's where the conversation gets particularly annoying with yourself when you're saying, but I always create the problems. Wait a minute, I just did it again. Oh no, I just did it again. Wait a minute.
Yeah. That happens to me all the time.
But there's the power of but that's the beauty and power of the pause, to stop and say, what am I creating now? Creating a load of crap, some boohickeys that I don't really fancy too nicely.
Yep.
So let me put my rainbow hat on.
Yo, Dan with the rainbows today.
He's loving the rainbows. Now, on the flip side of the problem solution thing, on those occasions where I have gotten myself really, really worked up so that I'm just like drowning in problems, I eventually reach a point, this is where contrast really becomes helpful. I eventually reach a point where the contrast is so painful and so unpleasant that I just try anything to get myself to focus on a solution. And here's the really cool part. Within not 5 seconds, but within usually an hour, all the problems go away. And it's really strange how fast they took like weeks to pile up.
Yeah.
And then they're gone in an hour. And you watch them go like, where did they go? How did that go away so quickly?
But here's a really, really interesting combination of natural laws and things of the nature of the universe, is that the law of gestation doesn't say how long something should take. It just says that something isn't going to happen necessarily instantly.
That's true.
But natural law is still something that you have to subscribe to in order to be subject to it. Yes, it's a collective agreement, so it's got more strength behind it, but you still have to subscribe to it in order for it to work. And so our belief systems about the thing are what make the thing valid or not. And so if your belief system deep down, and belief systems aren't something that we consciously conjure, something that sits in the unconscious. If there in the unconscious is a file around the time that it takes that says, now this one can happen in a week, this one can happen in a day, this one can happen in a month. That's exactly how it's going to follow on, because our life is a perfect pattern of those belief systems that we've got. And so it could be that you have sitting there on the computer file, the book of death, Alex, you don't talk about. It could be there in the book. When problems are piled up, they can be solved instantly.
Mm.
And they're solved instantly. When problems are created, they must be followed by more problems. And that program is exactly what we're running on. Every single one of us are creating and existing against the backdrop of that program, even if included in that program is Walt will never accept that he's actually the source of this creation. Donald Trump and Aunt Moira are the sources of these problems.
Yes, of course.
And he will remain unconscious of this.
And there it is.
And there it is.
Boy,
So
was
what's
I
the problem? You're the problem.
But the beautiful thing about that is that the program doesn't have to change. It doesn't have to change. It doesn't have to stay the same.
I was going to say,
Freudian slip.
Well, they're both true, actually. It doesn't have to change, but it can change.
Well, it doesn't have to change. It's true.
Yeah.
But, if you want to get some, and this is where the beauty of acceptance comes in, because there's been times when I've looked at myself and I've looked at stuff that I'm creating that isn't quite optimal, doesn't make me feel that great, but I look at the work that's going to have to go into changing it, and I compare the pain of the work with the pain of remaining, and I'm like, I'm going to sit on this one for a little bit longer. I don't really fancy it right now. But that's conscious folly in action. No, but this is real, and do you know what? If more people, I think, were ready to face the shadow of the fact that some things are repeating in their life because they haven't got the doolallings to change it yet, there'd be less stress, because the pain comes from projecting a displeasure about something. But if you just accept it, then it becomes a lot less painful. Doesn't mean that it's not going to be as annoying, but the pain function of it can start to disappear because you accept, it's not too great, but I'm all right with it, to be honest, compared to the pain of the other thing right now. And then you can even from that space build up your resilience to the pain, so you're ready to go through the pain of the change.
It's an interesting
Or even
point.
spend the time reducing the pain factor in your mind, because it's just a projection anyway. The future unmanifested pain is just a projection anyway. The projected idea of the pain of the change can be reduced to give you enough leverage to break the unconscious pattern and change your life.
Yeah, because they're both actually projections. This is going to be painful.
No, one is real. If you're experiencing it now, it's real. I'm talking from personal experience.
Well, it started off as a projection. It didn't just appear out of nowhere.
No. But it's here now. But this is the difference between, I'd say, reality and truth. And this is where we're looking at the truth of, or the reality of what's here now. Because the moment, we can't even change it now. It's already happening. But what's to come, we can change, but only if we become present enough to forget the pain of the present and then transition beyond it. So we have to let go of our attachment to the pain of it, or even the story of there being pain, in order to plant the seeds for the future. But you have to own the pain to step out of it and therefore transcend beyond it. So it's one big dance that still comes down to, are you aware enough of where you are? Are you owning that you created it? And are you clear enough on where you want to go?
And also there's the fourth part. Are you okay with the level of pain you have? Because like you said, right now you're experiencing some pain that you previously created. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, acceptance. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And that's one of the most interesting pieces of it, because from what we are learning and from what we know, acceptance of the pain makes the pain go away, which is really an interesting thing. You would think that if you accept the pain, at least I would think, maybe I shouldn't speak for you. I would think that if I accept the pain, that the pain is just going to get worse. But that's not the way it works. When you accept that the pain is there, and that it's pain that you brought onto yourself and so forth, and that you felt it and you've experienced it, it tends to dissipate. It tends to reduce.
Well, it depends on how you're looking at it, because you could look at it both ways, as like, okay, I've accepted the pain, but this is just how it's going to be. Or,
sure, yeah, you could accelerate it. You could build up the momentum of it, no doubt.
Or you could say, okay, this is the pain, but this too shall pass.
Right, and that's what I was referring to when I said you're actually feeling it. Because so often when we're building up the momentum of a pain that's currently going on, we do so by not feeling it, but by rather saying, oh, this really hurts, and then it hurts, and this really hurts, but we don't actually feel it. We're so focused on it hurting that we don't allow ourselves to actually feel it so that it can dissipate.
Yeah.
The pain's a message, right?
Yep.
The pain is a message saying, well, this is what you attracted. This is what you asked for. So
yep.
Once you accept it, then you're done.
You want it, you got it.
That's the thing with the stuff. How do I phrase this right? The things that keep showing up over and over again that we don't like and don't want are the things we don't accept after they've arrived. So it keeps trying to get us to accept it, and keeps trying to get us to accept it, and keeps trying to get us to accept it, until finally we accept it. And okay, now we're done delivering it to you. We don't have to deliver it anymore.
Yeah, that's when that mental 2x4 comes in.
Yeah. And it gets bigger and bigger, and the spike keeps growing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this stuff is weird. Like, to be perfectly blunt, that's the technical term for it. This stuff is just plain weird. You know, I mean, we've been able to find a way through these conversations, through teachers and so forth, to make sense out of it, to turn it into, okay, here's a logical explanation for understanding how it works. But when you really look at it, this stuff's just plain weird.
I mean, when you look at it, we're talking about crunching the universe into conversation.
Yeah.
With a brain that we only use at 5 to 10% of capacity.
Astonishing we can do it at all.
Astonishing we can spell our names.
For many of us, advanced algebra is too much.
Yeah. No
it's
kidding.
Me. I'm many.
Right. But we're talking about the universe, and a life of training that the universe isn't something that can be understood. And when we're giving it to it in bite-sized chunks from infinite intelligence, we still can't grasp it. But do we need to understand it in order to navigate it?
No,
not really. But we often want to.
But
I don't have to understand.
Well,
I don't have to understand a can opener, but I can use it.
Yeah, but there's a difference between not understanding a can opener and using it, and saying that I don't understand a can opener so that I can say that I'm not going to use it.
True.
Does that make sense?
To me, it does.
Because the application of truth is not complicated. Infinite intelligence gave us 5 steps that we can follow, and there are other models. If that was not for you, there are other very simple models that we can use to navigate this thing that we call life. But we say, oh no, I don't get it, it's too complicated. I'm just going to go to McDonald's instead. Have a burger.
That sounds like me.
or no, 5 steps isn't enough for me. I'm going to go to Colombia and do a plant medicine ceremony in the jungle. And then I'm going to come back and be so detached from reality that I'm not even going to apply anything I learned anyway. And I have to just come back to physical form to experience that which I tried to run away from through this plant ceremony.
Oh my God.
I think a piece of this puzzle that we're elucidating on here is...
Ooh, big word.
Yeah, you can add that as a hashtag if you like.
I would, but I can't spell it, so I'm just going
I don't think I've ever heard of that one. It's very rare that I hear these words.
Elucidating.
But double check that Walt isn't making these words up.
Right. I call Scrabble.
We need a room camera for Walt. I think he's Googling synonyms. What's a synonym for okay?
Okay.
Well, let me elucidate on that.
My cousin ripped me a new one once on an Instagram post. I used the word ergo, and he goes, or you could say therefore, couldn't you? But ergo is a phrase that I use. I do use it. So I feel because I do use ergo. But he was like, come on, mate, both of East London. Just use therefore, right? Baggers and bash.
Like, why are you trying to be all fancy on Instagram for? Who do you think you are? Ergo.
Ergo, you could go and look at another account.
Facts.
Hey,
Don't let it scroll up.
Scroll up, my homie.
Oh, I can't handle today's conversation.
I have to give you credit. I had a point I was going to make, and it's totally gone. You drove it right from my mind.
Normally you get me to be the avenue for you to remember stuff.
I know, it's just the opposite in this case. Yeah. I don't know what.
Maybe we'll all sit in silence instead. Let's try the opposite.
All right. Moment of silence for our thoughts.
I can't take this. I'm sorry. I just don't have the attention span for it.
Guys, this is a very serious moment of silence.
Okay. You're gonna let us know when it's over, right?
It'll be over when you remember what you're supposed to say.
Then we're gonna be here all day.
Let's try my memory trick this time because it didn't work last time. Let's try it again. I remember what I was going to say. No, seriously. Well, this is real. This is real. I remember what I was going to say.
Yeah, but first I have to buy into it. So give me a moment.
No, you don't have to buy into it. Just use the can opener, Walt. Just use the can opener.
Okay.
I remember what I was going to say.
I remember what I was going to say.
It's coming to me now.
It's coming to me now.
And now tell me what you love the most about your cats.
My cats?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I love almost everything about them, except when they're constantly coming in outside the door. But the things I love, Joy is like the most, he like the neighborhood ambassador. He's the most friendly cat outside I've ever seen. Everybody who comes by, he just has to go up and say hello and introduce himself. I mean,
that's cool.
Yeah. And,
do you put weird little cat clothes on your cat, like weird little pet outfits?
Absolutely not.
Would you ever do that? Do you consider that to be animal cruelty?
No, I don't consider it to be animal cruelty. To me, it just doesn't fit who they are. I don't try to make them into what I want them to be. I like them being who they want to be.
What are your thoughts on space travel?
I think that we are in the process of doing it after having not done it for a while.
What's 4 plus 4?
8.
What's 8 plus 8?
16.
What's 24 plus 24?
48.
How old were you when you had your first popsicle?
Damn.
I have no idea. I'll guess 5. I don't know.
That's it. I'm out. We're going to be here for the rest of the show. I can't do this to the audience anymore. I can't do this to the audience anymore. Walt is still trying to. I could see you were still trying to remember what you were trying to say.
No, actually, I was trying to appreciate what is it that you're looking for from me, because I don't know what you're looking for.
He's trying to distract you. He's trying to distract you, so the thought would come.
The neuroscience is when we can't remember something, it's on the tip of our tongue. We've blocked the neural pathway with thought. So when we pull our energy to another part of our mind, having set the intention that we're going to remember, when we focus on another thing, it opens up the neural pathway and allows the memory to come back, because it's an actual electrical signal that's being brought from one part of our brain to another part of our brain. So the distracting conversation opens up the neural pathway, but if you're still trying to remember the thought, you're still blocking it.
Okay.
Interesting
there's
theory.
Also another possibility, though, that I think that theory kind of assumes. That is that you really want to bring the thought back.
Well, that's why I said to set the intention, but you sabotaged it by saying I have to buy into it first. But...
Damn.
Well, that's what I meant by buy into it. By buying
decades
into it, I actually
of
have to
neuroscience.
desire it. I mean, it's kind of like saying
neuroscience just goes down the toilet.
But it's kind of like saying, okay, there's lots of contrast out there, but you must focus on this one. And my response is, but that's not the one I want to focus on.
Yeah.
But I thought you wanted to remember what you wanted to say.
What was that?
I thought you wanted to remember what you wanted to say.
No, I was just making fun out of it. It wasn't that important to me.
Poppycock.
We just wasted the last 10 minutes.
Trying to help you remember something that you really were just not that interested in.
That's where the whole theory falls apart.
Well, this leaves me in a state of discombobulation.
Hashtag.
Oh God. I can't spell discombobulation either. Jesus.
Don't worry, dude. Neither can I.
All right. At least I'm not alone.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to worry about it. It's
He
not
lost
one
me at the math problems. I was like, I'm out.
Hey, he lost me at the math problems too.
I
didn't
was
have
in there
any
with
idea
8
why
plus
he was
8.
asking
I
me.
was right there. And then after that, I was like, nope, I don't do double digits. I'm out.
I was waiting for him to ask me something like, what's 135 divided by 11 or something like that. And I'm just
Like,
like,
please
okay.
hold while I gather my calculator.
But math problems, by the way, anyone who's listening that wants to practice that, math problems have been demonstrated to be the best distracting function because you have to engage a whole chunk of your brain to calculate it. So it opens up for the neural pathways. So if you start doing maths.
Okay.
So math equations will always help you if you need to open up the neural pathway.
I will give that a try.
See, it just frustrates me even more. It makes it worse.
Well, yeah, I think you probably do have to have at least some positive association with math problems. Otherwise, that's not going to work.
Of which I don't.
Yeah, if it's all antipathy, negative, like, no, that's not really going to do it.
You just need to distract yourself with something that's going to take up your brain power, and then that opens up the neural pathway. That's it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
There was even an experiment that Olga was telling me about. I actually read about it, where it was demonstrated that when people were given a break to make a choice, and in that break were doing a math problem, it opened up the unconscious minds to give them more processing power on the original thing. It's really, really interesting stuff. Brains are fascinating.
Yeah.
It is fascinating. It is endlessly fascinating. All the different ways that our brain is able to do things that we didn't even think we could do.
They are the first computer.
They truly are. Yeah. And the more
Dan's
interesting part
disappearing.
is that it's not just the brain, it's the mind. Which is an interesting distinction. People often say, well, the brain and the mind are the same, but they're really not. The mind is more all-encompassing, and it goes beyond organs in the body, and it includes more than just that one organ. But the mind is where all the real cool processing happens. To me, it's the difference between a pocket calculator and, to make Alex happy, an Android phone.
But my Android phone has a calculator.
Exactly.
You mean your robot phone?
Wow. All right, fruit phone, whatever. Haters.
I was just trying to be nice and polite here, and we just turned it into a controversy.
Okay. No. It's just a shady.
There was no dark energy behind my statement. I simply made a statement.
I don't know. You've been drinking out of a bottle. I think it's haterade. I don't know.
So getting back to what I was trying to make as a point, it's the similarity between a calculator and an Android phone. The calculator is sort of the primitive version. That's what the brain is. The mind is the Android phone. It can do so much more than the calculator can do. And in fact, like you pointed out, it has a calculator inside.
Yep, true.
So it can calculate and a whole bunch more beyond that. That to me is the difference between the brain and the mind. So to me, the mind is the really cool computer. It's the one that, well, first of all, it's where we reside.
Right.
The true essence of us is our mind, or resides in the mind, or the mind is in us, depending on how you decide to look at it. And because of that, I mean, since we are creators, every single one of us, since we are, in essence, source energy, therefore, that's where all the cool stuff's going to happen. We are the ones that, through the power of the law of attraction. Law of attraction, as Abraham tells us, is the power that creates worlds. And we do it with our minds. I mean, first of all, how cool is that? Second of all, if that doesn't show how powerful the mind is as a computer, I don't know what does. I mean, what more do you want? I mean, isn't that like the best supercomputer of all time? Very true. So yeah, I love the mind. I think the mind is wonderful. I think it's a great calculator, way beyond a calculator. It's a calculator on steroids.
Yes,
the steroids.
It's a great computer. Glad I own one.
Not that we condone the use of mind steroids.
No.
Well,
you don't even need to. That's what's so great. You don't have to. In fact, you can even do shows like this and not even have to think about a drug to feel good. That's why. Are you ready for this? That's why we call it your daily dose of happy.
Snap.
Perhaps now's a good time for promos. Had to do
How to
some promo.
subscribe. Yeah.
Okay. Well, actually, we have two
Segues.
promos. We have our normal promo. We'll do the normal promo first, because the normal
Okay.
promo is where we invite people who are not yet subscribers to become subscribers, which is really simple. If you don't know how to do it, go to the homepage of our website, loatoday.net, and it instructs you how to do it at the top of the page. And you can also follow us on YouTube, because as we record on for the podcast, we record it to YouTube live, 4 p.m. New York time, Monday through Friday. And Alex, how do they subscribe on YouTube?
Well, they go to YouTube, search LOA Today podcast videos, and once you see our smiling faces, click down below to the red subscribe button. Next to the red subscribe button, there's a silver bell. Make sure you click the silver bell and click all, so you will always be notified when we are live.
She does it so beautifully. She's our own Vanna. Terrific. And by the way, there is the second promo. Then the second promo is one that we're doing this week, and that's where we're asking people to help us promote LOA Today through a post that I created. It has a little sort of a video, bunch of snippets from various shows that we did last week, actually, with each of the co-hosts talking, and it's the pre-frame picture is a shot of all 8 of us all in one composite shot. And what we're asking is listeners to get onto the LOA Today page on Facebook and sure, like it. We love it when you like it and so forth, but mainly leave comments. And some of you have been. We've got more and more comments on it, and I love that a lot. I mainly am trying to do it just so that when new people see it, because we're going to be putting this in front of new people, we're already actively putting it in front of new people who've never heard of the show before. We want them to see that there are other people who already listen who like it and are explaining why they like it. So that's why we're asking you to leave comments. So if you haven't done so already, please go to the LOA Today page on Facebook, leave a comment telling people why you presumably like the show. Otherwise, if you're listening to the show and you don't like it, that would be helpful to let us know why. But presumably you like it, so leave a positive comment and let us know that too, so that we can share it with other people. We want to spread the message of this Daily Dose of Happy. It's very important that more and more people, especially today, I mean, in this day and age with all that's going on, humans desperately need good feeling entertainment, and that's what we do here. So help us spread the word. We really appreciate that. So there's our promotional messages for the day. We got them done. So last thoughts about problems and solutions, or anything else we talked about? I mean, we covered it pretty good, I know.
Yeah,
but,
we did.
But like, if you had to summarize it, Alex, what's your summary of what we said today?
It's only a problem if you make it a problem.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true.
He said it.
I think she got that one nailed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's worse is if you make it a problem, guess what you get more of?
If you don't start, nothing won't be nothing.
Muchas problemas.
Muchas problemas.
Can you tell that he lives in Mexico? No.
A little bit.
No, I'm in San Francisco.
You're in San Francisco. Oh, yeah. He's got the Golden Gate behind him, of course. Yes. And I live on the moon. Can't you tell?
And I'm just in my purple fuzzy magnitude of wonderfulness. That's where I am.
You live in a unicorn land of purple goodness.
Exactly. It's soft and fuzzy and lovely.
And unicorny.
And unicorny, yes. Mystical and magical. I see what you did there. He does bring the cheese.
He does. Very, very well. Which is why we leave the last thought to him. So, Daniel, what's the last takeaway thought for people regarding this whole topic of problems and solutions and 5-step processes and so forth?
Use your can openers, guys.
Use your can openers. That is a hashtag, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So good. I love it. So, guys, thank you so much. Thank you especially to our podcast listeners as well. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.